There was a 2-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy named Robert. His story is important. I'm the last one who can carry it forward. When I was 12 years old, I was talking to my mama. It was actually my great-grandmother, my dad's mom's mom. And I asked her how many brothers and sisters she had. I think she told me that she had 11. And then she said, well, if you don't count all the ones that died. I said, what do you mean, Mama? And she told me that she had a lot of siblings that died. She proceeded to tell me that it was the common practice that they didn't name the babies until I think she told me 2 years old because so many of them died. She said she had a brother whose name was Robert, and he had just turned 2, and he was a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby, and she was 12 years old telling 12-year-old me this story. And she said they had just named him, and he was her baby. She loved him so much. And a couple months after giving him his name, he died. And she thought he died because of drinking bad water, but she wasn't sure. But I will never forget her tearing up and getting emotional telling me about Robert. And as a 12-year-old, I was shocked and surprised that it could still hurt that bad. Of course, now as a 52-year-old, I understand that grief never leaves you. But I don't believe that Robert got a headstone, or I don't know if there's any record of his birth. My dad always said that this mama, it's Mary Rachel, she was a Hess and she became a Whited, was a very reserved person. And I can remember meeting her brother at her funeral. And her brother he was probably in his 90s at this time. And he was just crying and crying. And he said he was the last living member of his family. And I wondered, had he also been closed off and didn't feel emotion until he was older because of all the hurt and the hardships of the life that they had endured? My great mama to me was very open, very loving. I wouldn't call her emotional, but I definitely knew that I was loved. Back in the early 1900s, 1 in 5 children didn't make it to 5 years old. Today, it's about 1 in 200 die. The biggest reason for this is clean water and sanitation improved in the early 1900s. The second biggest reason is vaccines reduced deaths by the mid 20th century. And the third, antibiotics saved any more lives from the 1940s on. But in Appalachia, these advances took longer to reach many communities. So child survival rate lagged behind the national average. And the mama I'm telling you about got married in a different county than I was raised in, and she moved to the mountain that I was raised on. She had my dad's mom. Well, my mom's mom lived on the same road. All of this is within 1 mile of each other. So my mom's mom lived there, and my mom and dad were next door neighbors. They fell in love and got married. So I had 3 sets of mamas and papas who lived within 1 mile of me, and that's how I was raised. It's important to remember Robert and to remember that he was loved. My mama, probably 70 years after he died, still remembered him and still carried him with her and then told me about him. My dad and my dad's mom, when I talked to them about this, they said they had no idea that Mama had had a younger brother that she had loved so much that had died. They just knew that a lot of her siblings had died in early childhood.